Why do people fear public speaking? Everybody fears public speaking on some level. Even the world-class public speakers have some fear of public speaking. Even myself have a public speaking fear. As a matter of fact, I was an introvert. I'm still an introvert. That's why I'm here filming in my basement. Jokes aside anyway, right? But the way I became a better public speaker was practice, practice, practice. But let's first go back and talk about the science of why we have fear when it comes to speaking and public speaking. This fear is in a way called social anxiety or social conditioning. Did you know that public speaking is the biggest fear in the world? More people fear public speaking than death itself. Yeah, death itself. Can you believe that? Right? Why is that? Right? Well, if you go all the way back in the caveman days, right? If you go back all the way to evolution, people feared public speaking because they wanted to belong to a tribe, right? As cavemen, we belonged in a tribe. And fear was a response our bodies developed as a way to warn us when we're on the verge of death, on the brink of death, right? So for example, if you did something fearful, right? Something without really having that feeling of fear, you could die. So fear was a response, right? Our body developed or evolved to warn us and guide us. And one of those responses, or one of those warning signs, was fear of being a social outcast, right? Imagine you're out there, you're in a tribe, right? And you do something and the tribe kicks you out, right? Back then, we didn't have technology, we didn't have all these innovations, right? You'd be out there on your own, having to fend off, I don't know, dinosaurs, lions, all this crazy stuff, right? So we wanted to belong to part of a group, part of a tribe, right? So as a way of helping us evolve and be part of a tribe, we had social conditioning, right? Our bodies would tell us, okay, don't do anything that's too crazy. Don't do anything that's too weird, right? All this stuff, all this social conditioning helps us stay aligned with the tribe and the group. As a result, we're not outcast from the group. Right? This was perfect for evolving, right? For building relationships, getting kids, finding a mate, all this stuff, right? But sometimes it can hinder us, right? Sometimes all that evolution we have that warns us when we're in fear, right? That fight or flight response can hurt us sometimes. And one of those examples is public speaking. So most people who have a fear of public speaking, when they speak, right? Let's say it's a presentation for work, presentation for school, they're standing up there, right? And the body has two ways of going about it. Either they fight, right? They stay there and they fight the response, or they take flight, right? So this is why public speaking is one of the biggest fears in the world. So how do we take care of this fear? How do we get over it, right? One of the ways I do this is, there are two ways to channel your energy, right? You're out there, you have butterflies, you're nervous, you're shaking, right? You can take that energy and take flight, kind of retreat inwards, become shy, anxious, right? Or you can channel that energy to have to be energized during your speech, to have passion, energy, right? You keep hearing the term passion. Where does passion come from? Passion comes when somebody channels that energy, right? That nervous energy, and they fight with it. As opposed to taking flight, they fight with that energy. That's how you get that energy, right? So I know me, I'm very laid back in life, right? I'm not this animated. I'm not even this animated most of the time, right? But when I'm doing a speech, it's almost like kind of like a step into character, right? And all that energy, I've learned to channel that energy to use it in my speech. For example, with my body language, with my gestures, with my passion, with my tonality, right? So in this guide, we'll break this down and show you how to channel all that energy. But to kind of go back to the earlier point I made, fear comes from social conditioning and from people wanting to belong and being afraid of social rejection, right? So once we understand where that fear comes from, we can then use that fear and turn it into an advantage. All right, so we know where fear comes from. We know the evolution, the science, but so what? How is that gonna help me today, right? You're probably wondering. Well, now that we know the why it's happening, right? I mentioned earlier, you can overcome it by different ways, right? I mentioned how I personally overcome fear by channeling that nervous energy into passion, into energy, right? But one different way of getting over that fear, right? Once you know that you're afraid of social rejection, you're afraid of what people think about you, you basically have to learn to not care what people think about you. right? You almost have to become almost immune to what people think. You don't care about people's feelings, right? Some people have different ways of doing this. Some people say, imagine everybody's naked, imagine people are beneath you, whatever, right? But once you know where that fear is coming from, you have to turn that into confidence by not caring what anybody thinks. And the way you do this is there are lots of different exercises. I know, me personally, when I was going through this, getting over public speaking, practice, right? Speak everywhere you can. At your church, at work, at school, volunteer. But most importantly, don't care what anybody thinks about you. Go out there and fail. Failure is good. Once you develop this notion or this belief of not caring what people think about you, it will make your public speaking a lot better, a lot more efficient, more energized.